Commission is sufficiently independent? Put up your hand. How many feel they are not independent? Okay, to be fair, I feel you're almost unanimous. Oh, well, why don't we give them a chance? Say 50-50. How many feel 50% they are independent? One. Well, somebody better record this and transmit it. But I don't think this is a biased crowd. This is, to my mind, looking at it from here, it's reflective of our Malaysian society. But anyway, that's a good point to take home. Anybody else like to pick any question raised here? Raised from the audience? Oh, you had a lot. So, this is what we call weighted vote. So my weighted vote is for him. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to say something which I've been saying, but probably at a different crowd, different audience. Election Commission formed under 114 Federal Constitution comprise chairman, deputy chairman, and 5 other members. When we work in the commission to decide on certain policies and direction of election commission to respond to memorandums, public complaints, and so on, there has always been on the basis of consensus. So I am here as a deputy chairman. I cannot make decision alone. No, that's something which people must understand. It is a 7-member panel. It is a 7-member panel. Then the next thing is, we are given laws by the parliaments from the Supreme Law, Federal Constitution, and some other laws pertaining to our conduct of election, the conduct of registration programs, and preparation of electoral boundaries. These are the 3 main functions established in the Constitution. When we conduct election, we go strictly by the laws that are given to us. These are the laws that we conduct the election into 04, that gave Barisan Nasional a landslide victory, and these are the same law that we conducted into 08, that gave 82 seats in parliament to Pakatan parties. These are the same electoral registration laws that we use to prepare electoral rolls in so many by-elections, in so many elections. These are the same laws. But now we have come to a point that we realize some of the loopholes of the laws. We realize that. An election commission is not just having meeting the stakeholder, the government. Please differentiate between the government and the Barisan Nasional. We meet the government when it comes to amending the laws, making proposals, taking our initiative to the higher level. We meet the governments. And the governments must decide the policy first. As number one example, if the government make a policy that 21 years old is the voting age in our election, and we receive a lot of feedbacks through our feedbacks, then we initiated proposal to the government, see the reaction of the government. If 18 years old is okay, then the government, based on our proposal, the government will decide. That is the system in Malaysia. Okay. Then the Aegis Chamber will only start looking at the details of the law, drafting the laws to be debated in Parliament, will brought to Parliament, only when they got the signal from the government. Okay, so the thing here is, the government may have some policies that they want to establish in this country. The policy pertaining to 18 years old, that they feel that 18 years old is still not suitable to be the voting age for Malaysians for whatever, blah, 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 reason, however much we argued. But that is the thing. So we took a lot of initiative to bring the matter up. We made our proposals because we got feedback. We met Bersih, we met Suhakam, and we met some other NGOs, and we met political parties. PAS came to our office, DAP came to our office, PKR came to our office, Barisan Nasional came to our office, we discussed. We got the point and we took the initiative. But you please understand, this is the system that we have no way to do anything to go against the system. Because the system of government is that it has to be approved, then only the Aegis Chamber will draft the law to bring it to Parliament. So that is...
yeah, thank you so much, Dato. I think, if I were to sort of assess the feeling, as Dr. Ambi said, and I think Dr. Shaki also alluded, it's a question of perception. You follow the laws, yes, and I think that's only right and proper. But when you find loopholes, as you have found out, I think the public will need, and I'm using my old cap as president of TI in Malaysia, transparency. People feel they are not being led into these dark secrets, so to speak. It's my country, my vote, my government, I put them in. And what is the government doing? Is the government thinking of the people and the public interest and the national interest? Or are they thinking of party interest? That is my perception of how the public look at it. And so I think we will all have to appeal to government to make sure it's transparent and to encourage the Election Commission and its hardworking staff and commissioners. Encourage them to make public all their proposals to government. If the government does not follow it, then they are accountable because we voted them in. And if they cannot give a convincing case, then I think they have to face the music on election day. Is that fair? We are having a good free debate here.
In Australia, the election commissioner is sitting in Parliament to push forward the electoral laws. But in Malaysia, the Minister of Government is tabling the proposal of law, election laws. It's not the election commission. The level of election commission has gone to within the framework of proposal. We propose, we got the feedbacks, we got a lot of inputs, we discussed with political parties, then we made proposal. Then we pass. We don't have seat in Parliament to debate our proposal. They won't allow. Definitely they won't allow, because this is our system here. That's what I've been saying to the public. We are working within the framework of laws in this country.
Under the Elections Act, there is a provision that
putting closer to your mind.
There is a provision that the Commission makes the regulations. I know, so far as the mother law is concerned, that is made by Parliament. But when it comes to matters, the nitty-gritty on the ground, these are matters for you to decide. It's the Commission that makes the laws. And I don't understand why you need to have the AGs to draft your laws. You draft your laws. You go to the AG and you argue that these are the laws that you need. That's what the former, what you call, Tan Sri Rashid, who was in the position of secretary to the commission. He used to come to chambers when I was in chambers. He would argue his case. And sometimes we agreed with him. It's not for the AGs to say this is right or that is wrong. What have they got? No business to poke their nose into this.
This issue of transparency is very important. That will really give a much better understanding and perception as to the independence of the Commission. Because the Commission can do a lot of work, as I said. If it's not known, people will judge you wrongly.
Let me respond to that also. We have drafted and we have amended a lot of regulations, because regulations normally they lay in Parliament only. We have done a lot. That's why through the process of time you see a lot of new proposals and new things being introduced into the electoral process. But that pertaining to electoral process, that comes under the regulation. But when we see the list of tuntutan, if you see the list of tuntutan, most of the tuntutan is inside here. You're talking about, like, of course, one tuntutan is, if I may say, one tuntutan is regarding the campaign period. Definitely we will consider that, because that is within our power. The Constitution only said not shorter than 7 days. So we will look into that. That's what I wanted to explain. We wanted to explain to Brazil when we wanted to meet them for the second time, but it did not materialize because things happened as what we know. There was no meeting between Brazil and SPR for the second time because Brazil fixed already the July 9 things. So we wanted to inform the Brazil what we could do at that time. Because Brazil presented to us 8 tuntutan, 8 demands. Some, of course, we can discuss further to find a certain meeting point. But like, I have a lot of things to explain why we want to agree with Brazil few things. Like campaign period, as I said to you. We discussed with the police. Because if 21-day campaign period, minimum as requested by Brazil, the police are the ones who gave permit for campaigning, for ceramah and so on. They said they cannot go on working 24 hours for 21 days. Please.
No, you must listen to him.
You must listen.
Yeah, you have to be fair.
It does not mean that when I say something you agree.
He's not a policeman. He's saying what they say, not what he says. I'm
telling you what the feedback, the police position as far as the longer campaign period. But we have our position also. When we brought the matter to the government, we tend to agree with the position provided, given by the government also. That look at our country, we have 12 million voters. And look at our country, the level of sophistication of ICT, communication and so on. And people know who are the political parties involved in these countries. There are no new parties coming out suddenly, need 3 weeks to introduce themselves. Everybody knows what is the policy of the government, the government's party, what are the policy, what are the manifesto of the... So they say, yeah, of course. This is the kind of people we inside, we argue. Do we really need 21 days? That you say yes, but not everybody said yes. We are not.
Yeah, I tell you what.
SPR is not only responsible to a section of people.
Yeah, what is very clear, Dato, to me, very clear, that there's genuine difference of view. So I hope we can resolve today, and I want your support as to whether I'm right. We agree that there will be a further meetings, it could not have been called earlier, the second meeting, because of other events, maybe the Sarawak election, as I recall. But maybe as soon as possible, we will take the initiative to have a small group study these things and recommend to government, jointly perhaps, or if that cannot be done, then severally, that we follow up on these specific issues. Is that agreed? We follow up on it. Is that agreed or not? Of course, we'll have to get the cooperation. But you know, this must be a continuing process in a democracy. Now, I asked, Dato' Shafi asked for the floor. Would you please like to respond?
Sure.
And then, Dato' Ambega?
Just 2 points. One, a very short one. I totally agree with Dato' KC Wara when Dato' KC mentioned that impression is everything. What you say, people are going to strictly confine you to what you have said. And even if you have made a slip of the tongue, rather than a slip of the entire cerebellum. Now, I can draw an analogy. Perhaps this was a slip of the tongue, and I hope it was a slip of the tongue. You remember the case of Dato' Mokhtar Hashim. The presiding judge told the Attorney General in the course of him adducing evidence, and he said this completely unforgivable thing. And he said, didn't we let that slip away from us in relation to a piece of evidence? That was Justice Hashim Yusuf. Very, you can't forgive him for that. But the federal court said it's perhaps a slip of the tongue. I leave it at that. Now, as a matter of analogy. The second point, which is raised by Mr. Lim Chiwi, President of the Bar. I'm glad you're here. I welcome you very much to this occasion. I'm not actually saying that the only way to improve electoral process is by election petition. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it is a very effective way, because you and I know when we go to court, especially election petition, we are so geared up in our preparation. We spend hours and hours burning midnight candles, studying that particular provision. So narrow, so focused. Yet nobody can or pay attention to our research, especially the judiciary. We are in the best position to know what is wrong with that law, apart from the facts. And we suggest to them. And if they don't take it on board, it is a complete waste of time, of labor, put in by the best legal brain. That's the point I'm saying. Now, if that is not one way we can advance electoral process, I don't see how we can proceed any further. Now, I must tell you, the problem with our parliament, our draftsman is this: we always have a knee-jerk reaction. When I won the case against Wee Chi Kiong, in that landmark case where the court declared it was votes thrown away, basing on 5 landmark cases, 2 from England, Lady Sandhurst and Lord Tony Benn case, and 3 other cases from India, and another one from some part of the Commonwealth, that if the voters knew the man is disqualified and yet persists on voting him, those votes are considered votes thrown away. So those votes were chucked away. The second man became the champion, became the winner. Public outcry. What did the Attorney General do? Do a knee-jerk reaction. They removed the entire 35C, which is the relief. Now, I'll tell you what was the impact. 35C says, relief, yeah? Completely deleted. Previously, it says, the election can be declared void, that another candidate is duly elected and ought to have been returned. So they removed that. So you have 2 impacts. One is in Perlis, where the returning officer made a mistake of addition. Instead of A to win, he declared B. It's a simple addition mistake. Because C is deleted, they have to have a re-election. What a bloody waste of money. Similarly, in Kelantan, no addition mistake, wrong name announced as the winner. But because it has been pronounced, they say we can't do anything because C is deleted. So let's have another election. You see what I mean? Thank you.
Thank you. What again strikes me about Dato' Shafi's point is, even he is not listened to by the authorities. then what more? The other thing is the level of competence in our country. We all like to say in our time it was better. Well, maybe, I don't know. But if you say some by-elections had to be called because some people could not add or subtract or put the wrong name in, I think we are in serious trouble. Now I call upon Dato' Ambiga because I promised her and we have taken some time. But it's about transparency and the whole issue of improving the electoral system.
I'm just going to take the time to respond to a few things very, very briefly. Firstly, if I could just talk about the longer campaign period. I think 21 days is really, when you look at 42 days in the old days, 21 days is not very long at all. But it is certainly, I mean, 7 days is unacceptable. I think that's the point, that's the main point. It's totally unacceptable. And if you are really serious about overseas voters, it cannot be done in 7 days or 10 days. You've got to give enough time for overseas voters if you're serious about allowing them to vote. Now, the other thing is that the issue about one mentioned that they had met Bersih, and I need to clarify this again. I did clarify it on Tuesday. I think I need people probably want to understand why it is we took the action that we did. Why did we hold the rally? Now, I think it was, number one, utter frustration in not getting anywhere. Ultimately, no point having good discussion tanpa hasil, yeah? No point discussing unless something concrete comes out of it. We didn't see anything concrete coming out of the discussions, but they did see us. I don't deny that. They gave us a lot of time. I'm not saying no. But clearly, Dato' Wan, even from what you say today, the Election Commission, although I disagree with you, feels that it doesn't have the power to bring change. That's the problem. That is really the problem. And I'll tell you why I disagree with you, Dato' Wan, and I've said it before over and over again. You are in a special position. Now look at 1143, all right? It says, in appointing, first 1142 says, in appointing members of the Election Commission, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong shall have regard to the importance of securing an election commission which enjoys public confidence. That's 2. 3 says this, a member of the Election Commission, there are a few sentences, and then it says, but shall not be removed from office except on the like grounds and in the like manner as a judge of the federal court. That's how important they are. That's how important they are. But they don't believe it themselves. That's the frustration that we face. And let me tell you, at the end of the day, what pushed us really to hold this rally were the Sarawak elections. And what was happening in the Sarawak elections? I've got a long list, I can tell you, long list of electoral fraud, vote buying, etc., etc., etc. And we kept talking about that. And we kept saying, register the Sarawakians who are in West Malaysia as postal voters. None of that was paid attention to. The response of the Election Commission was, we have no power. You've heard it yourself today. We have no power to take action against electoral fraud. We kept saying, but you do. But you do under the Enforcement Act. And the thing is that no steps were taken to do that. MACC turns around and says, oh, video evidence is not good enough. I don't know why that is, because there was actually video evidence on electoral fraud. So the utter frustration, you see, it was the electoral fraud in Sarawak this time, from the reports that we received, were really serious. Our concern was it would spill over to the general elections. That was our concern. And we had basis for that concern, because despite the fact that there were electoral fraud, etc., no action was being taken. So what was giving us confidence that actually everything we say to improve the system was ever going to come to pass? And that is why we held the rally as we did. And yes, they did say they would meet with us a second time, and that didn't happen. But I just need to explain it to you, why we did what we did. We don't have time. We don't have the luxury of time. GE 13 is not far away, which is why even this biometric system, can they tell us, can they get this operational within, how long do we have till 2013? Can it be operational? Can it win the trust of the people? Which is why we're saying, Tuan Chai, to your question about indelible ink, it's cheap, it's worked. I don't know two better reasons to have a system like that. And the only reason they say, the only reason against it is two things. One is, they say, there was some sign of fraud. People apparently, the last round, brought ink in from Thailand, etc. I don't know, but nobody was charged. We don't know what happened to that. Secondly, they say people may be forced, all right? People may actually color the finger forcefully. Now, if that happens, the person concerned has to make a police report and has to go and inform the relevant authorities. The IC has to be checked. We are not suggesting only indelible ink. You will also have the IC check, all the other checks as well. This is just one way to reduce fraud, but I can tell you it has been very effective. It has been very effective. So that's why we say we don't think you're going to be ready with the biometric. I may be wrong. I defer to what Dr. Wan has to say. But if you want the biometric to work, you've got to spend time on it. Anything rushed, that's our other concern. If you rush it, we are going to end up in trouble as well. That's my fear. Now, I need to take, sorry, Tan Sri, but I just need to answer a couple of things here. Dato Sri Shafi says, and I accept what he says, he's done the most number of election petition cases. I have done none, let me tell you. I am not an expert on election petitions, but I can tell you this as to the law. It is highly technical. Half the petitions get thrown out on grounds that you didn't serve it in the right place, and so on and so forth, which is why the law has not developed on election petitions at all. And I'm not sure if Dato Sri Shafi was suggesting that if it didn't turn up in any election petition, the problem doesn't exist. Are you saying that, Dato Sri?
No.
Yeah, because that's like saying if you don't take human rights abuses to court, that means it doesn't exist. You know, that's nonsense, okay? These issues of phantom voters and so on do exist. I've shown you the evidence. We have plenty of evidence. Sometimes the evidence doesn't come up in time before an election petition is filed because there are strict time periods. So to say that if it is not there and the election petition is not happening, I don't think is correct at all. And I'll tell you something, I must tell you about this case, and these things have been raised, by the way, but our own Dr. Jayakumar, God bless him, and we all think about him today. He's on a fast, and God bless all the other PSM members, and I hope Dr. Sri Shafi, in his capacity as Human Rights, ASEAN Human Rights Commissioner, is pushing for their release. Now what I will say, in his petition, Sungai Siput, this was 2000, all right, before the latest elections, this was 2000. He raised all these issues, phantom voters, he raised issues of use of force, violence, etc., everything that he could, transfer of names of eligible voters and so on and so on. Such serious issues. And what happened, unfortunately? The petition got struck out on a technical ground. That's how unfortunate it is. So to me, election petition is not the answer to our election woes. I can guarantee you that. And in fact, the Likas case, the judge there actually talked about the electoral roll. But what happens? After that, they amend the law and say 9A now says you cannot challenge the electoral roll. By the way, Dr. Sri Shafi, the 9A actually says you cannot go for even judicial review. It says it outs the jurisdiction of the court. But I don't think it means you cannot go to court. I do admit that. Yes. You want to finish? Sorry. I'll just wind up. No, it's important because these issues have been raised. But I want to say also that in Likas, in that suit, I think people should read that judgment actually, because there's some issues that were raised there in relation to election fraud, although the court did not find election fraud. But the learned judge actually mentions a phone call that he got. I think that's mentioned in the judgment. A phone call that he got telling him to dismiss the petition. That's in the judgment. Okay? So, brave judge, brave judge. And I'll tell you something else. The other case where the learned judge, after this case, they actually brought in appeal to the federal court. Before this, the high court judges, I mean, Dato Sri Shafi talks about the learned judge Wanayahya. Yes, I've got a copy of his summary of his case. But after all that, in about 2002, they amended the law to say now election petition doesn't stop with the election judge. You can appeal it to the federal court. Why? So you may have a brave judge who may be prepared to do the right thing, but you see, the appellate process, anything can happen. So to me, all these amendments, that's why I'm saying it's not difficult to do amendments. They've been doing amendments, hundreds of amendments, as we go along. And I feel, Datuk Wan, that you have to show the leadership. EC has to, this is their area. They cannot be removed. Unless Parliament says they can be removed. They should not be afraid of the government. That's what we are asking for, and that's what we have always asked for, and I've always said we will back them. If they do the right thing and move for the right amendment, we, the public, will back them. And then I want to see what the government says.
Thank you very much. So, you see, it's not easy with a distinguished panel like this. All experts, you know, and they got very weighty arguments. Now, let me just say one thing. Having another cap to wear as an old civil servant, you know, you can make all kinds of recommendations like we used to do in taxes, you know, in the treasury. We need this tax, we need to cut down expenditure and all that. In the end, it is two words that matter. Despite or regardless of what we say, the political will. You have amendments, they can only go to Parliament if the Cabinet agrees. If the Cabinet does not agree, no amendment. And this is the Westminster system. I would suggest one solution for your consideration. I agree. Like judges, the commissioners cannot be removed unless they are insane or whatever, or very ill or disabled or whatever. Incapacitated is the word. I think the government must now realize that when you have former civil servants in these positions, after 30 years, most of them, I don't think I'm one of them, but most of them are conditioned not to displease the government of the day. They are sincere, they give sincere advice, but the mindset. So don't blame them so much. The government must now, from now on, get really independent people from outside the public service, even outside the judiciary. In today's judiciary, even a judge, people may question. So get people of eminence, of integrity from outside to become members of the commissioners in the future. Then there will be less suspicion as to their motives. And people will realize that they can be independent because they say, to heck with it, let me go it out. I don't want to stay there. And some of us on some commissions served and left because we couldn't take it. You know what I think I mean. Now, let me go for another round. I think Mr. Andrew there. Which was the question you didn't answer?
Why in this day and age, it still takes so long for a person who has registered to vote to be able to vote?
Okay,
The second question was in relation to the use of indelible ink in 2008 and whether the decision...
Okay, I think he got the point. Thank you.
Instruction of the cabinet.
Okay, the question number one. We conduct our registration of electors based on the election registration of electors regulation 2002. The registration of electors now is being conducted in 4 quarters. 4 quarters. So like today we display today the 2nd quarters, that is from April, May and June. So when a person register, supposing in the 3rd month of the quarter, of course he has to wait just 2 months only. But if he registered, say in April, Then he has to wait April, May, June, and then we take 1 month to process. We take 1 month to process. Under the law, we need to display for 7 days for objections, for claims. Then we will process the new voters, and then we will clean the deceased. Every month, Election Commission take out from the list, based on confirmation from National Registration, at least 7,000 names of dead people, at least, every month. And the only authority in this country that confirms the death, confirms, is NRD. Okay. When our loved one pass away, we go to the police, we get sijil mengubur, bureau permit. If the waris don't take the sijil mengubur to NRD database will not be updated. And Election Commission will only have to rely NRD database for confirmation of death. We cannot just, a person given us a call, or any authority give us a call, say a person is dead, and then election officers clean his name from electoral roll. Under perlembagaan, the moment a person registered as a voter, he becomes a registered voter under 119(4). Nobody can take out his name from the electoral roll until we get confirmation from the authority. If he is dead, then what is the authority in this country that confirm a person is dead?
Okay,
We cannot move.
Can I interrupt there?
Please.
Just because I know it's in your mind. You don't mind?
Yeah.
I think Dato' Abi made the point that NRD would have records of death, those who die. Now, why can't they transfer the information to the...
Exactly, because NRD can only update when they receive a report from the waris.
No, sorry. Somebody dies
Somebody died.
and he gets, you got to get a death certificate.
No. Bureau permit first.
He got a burial permit. Okay.
Burial permit first.
And then the authorities who have to issue the burial permit, you can have linkages with them. In
No.
the computer system.
Under the present system, the ballot police that issue the bureau permit don't have a link direct to the.
So you must have a link. So we must have a link lah. Betul?
You have to speak to Home Affairs. You have to speak to Kementerian Dalam Negeri, because the police and RD under Ministry of Home Affairs. I'm telling you at the moment there is no link between the ballot police or Bukit Aman and NRD.
And this is what worries me. There are many links all over the place, but this is now a dead link. But not the fault of the commission. The government must take its responsibility.
So we cannot simply delete a registered voter from the electoral roll, because it is in this constitution.
Okay, I've got some names here already. Yeah, okay.
The point which Dato' Wira made is a point which I can take on board with the point that I made earlier. This same issue came out in an election petition, and we told the judge, made a suggestion on how the linkages were to occur. In those days there were no electronic linkages. We said whatever you give to the waris, one copy goes straight to NR. The judge never took it on board. This is what I'm saying.
He should have been thrown overboard.
He could easily make suggestion. As part of his judgment.
Sorry, I have to read this. Sorry, I have to say something.
Is it earth shaking? Otherwise, I'll have to get other. Okay, on the ground is earth shaking.
For these sort of things is completely irrelevant. The reason is this: a judge makes a decision. He doesn't make recommendations, because if he does that, then we have a lot of recommendations which are completely not necessary for the judgment. you see judges making all sorts of comments now, which are completely irrelevant to the issues of the case. And that has been the practice in our judiciary, that we do not make comments which are not relevant.
Mr. Chairman, if I could respond to that, under the Election Offences Act, a particular section does in fact make it a point instructing the judge to make the recommendation, especially in cases of corruption, bribery and treating. The judge makes recommendation. So
frankly, as a layperson, not trained in the law, but with just some common sense, hopefully, I would think if it's in the best interest of the society, any good judge should follow up with some good recommendations. Whether the government accepts it or not is another matter. It's a question of interpretation and a view. There's no law that the judge cannot make a recommendation. And if it is in the public interest, why not? Anyway, now I got Daniel Ho, Reverend Daniel Ho, and then
to satisfy the audience, I have an answer in indelible ink. When it was withdrawn in 2008, we bought the indelible ink from India. We wanted to use for the 12th general election. Then we got police report, and we got rumors on the ground, and the police reports, that's the most important, that there were indelible inks coming from the border, coming to Kedah and Perak. Then you put yourself in the commissions, as a commission. Just a couple more days, it's going to be polling, and now you got a police report saying somebody purchased indelible ink from across the border. For what purpose? There must be something related to polling. Maybe they wanted to sabotage the polling. So can you imagine? So the thing that came to our mind at that day, I mean, when we discussed the issue with the police, probably there were elements who wanted to take advantage at certain polling station. Maybe they go to the rural areas, they go to the rural folks, they mark the finger with the indelible ink, and then the next morning, come on polling day, the old folks come to the polling station, then there'll be a tense situation there. There'll be the party agent will say there is a mark on the finger already. The election commission checked the list, his name is not marked yet. So these are the kind of situations that confronted us on that when we discussed the issue. And the other thing is on the advice by Attorney General's office. Article 119, when a person is a registered voter, he is entitled for a vote. He is entitled to get a ballot paper. When a person is a registered voter, he is entitled for a ballot paper. So can you imagine the situation crop up where a person comes to the polling station with a finger marked ink, and there is a situation there that a person says, I haven't voted yet. So to avoid all this kind of chaotic situation at the polling center, Election Commission decided to follow the advice of the AG at that time. That's why the previous chairman, when he decided to withdraw the use of indelible ink, he came forward for media conference with IGP and with Attorney General. That was exactly what happening in 2008.
Okay,
so I explained only why the indelible ink was withdrawn at the 11th hour. That's what I explained. But no, we cannot take chances. Election must be perfect within 1 day.
Okay. That's his explanation. Now,
all right, I just want to respond to the indelible ink very, very quickly. 2 minutes. Number one, no one has been charged to date in relation to any offences relating to buying of the ink, which is why we find it very difficult to take that point on board. Number two, there are many ways to stop voters. Even in Dr. Jayakumar's petition that I said, there were allegations of use of force, violence, restraint against voters. These things happen, whether you use indelible ink or not. when it happens, the person concerned or the persons concerned have to make a police report and have to go and resolve it in that way. These things do happen. That is not a reason not to use indelible ink. And indelible ink has been used in so many jurisdictions. How is it they don't have these problems? You know, in India, I mean, look at our population, India's population. As I say, it's only one method. It is not perfect, I agree. It may not be perfect, but it is one very good method to reduce incidents of fraud. And I still do not believe we have a satisfactory answer why they're not using indelible ink.
Reverend Daniel Ho and the Professor Chia and some lady in yellow.
Yeah, I think.
And another lady in yellow.
Thank you.
No preference for color.
Okay. All right. I want to say first because I need to slip off after this. But I want to appreciate you, Dr. Wan Ahmad, for coming here. Really, I'll give a big hand really, because we all know the pressure that is upon you and the Election Commission. So you are to be highly commended really for coming here. Really, thank you so much for doing that. But Dr. Amrita, you've done a fantastic job. No need to say any more about all that you've done, okay? But I also want to appreciate Dr. Sri Shafi. We were sitting next to one another at a recent meeting together. Welcome to Dream Center, this place, okay? I appreciate you really, all right, for taking this up to just speak on behalf, okay, of the ASEAN perspective. And this is important for all of us. Friends, can I say, you all have been a wonderful crowd, exercising respect and restraint. Can I just commend all of you? Give yourself a big hand, is it okay? Yeah, because I know sometimes in discussions like this, we can become a little bit rowdy, okay? And I think you have exercised enormous respect for one another. I really want to appreciate you all, particularly because I'm host here. I want to see, okay, honor and respect for one. Is that okay? I think that's very, very important, really, for all of us. So I want to say well done, right? Well done to all of you. Just two quick comments I want to say. One is, there is a whole area for the need of truth and transparency. I think it is only truth and transparency that will lead to trust. All right. There seems to be absence, as it were, of truth, whether it is in reality or whether it is not. I think there seems to be questions about the truth of it all in a number of things that has been done. But also the lack of transparency. But when these two things are lacking, trust is removed. And that's where it creates a problem. The truth about the whole electoral process and how this is done in such a manner that it will engender trust in everybody. I think there is a lot of questions that have been asked by a lot of people like this. I think this is deep, deep concern. The second thing is the need for clarity and accountability. Right? Because when rules about postal voting is not clear, when there's a lack of accountability, I think when clarity and accountability is missing, what happens is that confidence is removed. All right? And so therefore, truth and transparency leads to trust. Clarity and accountability will lead to confidence. That we can trust, therefore, the Elections Commission to do the things, but to do it well.
So let's agree to build up more trust.
Right, okay, yeah. And so I think the people come here, I think we all come here, all right, not wanting to really try to slam down anybody. We are concerned about what is good for this country. And when there is good, clear things that takes place, it is for the overall good of Malaysia, because we all long to see Malaysia rising up to be a leading nation in Asia, if not in the world. And that's why we find that people are passionately concerned about things like this. And that's why the expression of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.